Welcome to another edition of Talk City Greensboro, produced by GTN, featuring interviews and events happening around town. It's an easy way to stay in the know while you're on the go. Subscribe to Talk City on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or SoundCloud so you can keep up with what's going on in Greensboro City government. I'm your host, Josh Johnson, and with me today, as always, Rosemary Flyman.
Thank you. Yeah, hello and welcome. You know, the United Way of Greater Greensboro is celebrating its centennial this year, 100 years of doing good work in our community. In March of 1922, Henry Smith Richardson, heir to the Vicks Vapor Rub fortune. A lot of people are using that right now with all the cold stuff going around. Oh, yeah. Anyway, he actually formed the community chest, which would become the United Way of Greater Greensboro. 100 years impacting our community, lifting neighborhoods, changing lives. Khari Garvin, President and CEO, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really glad to have you here. Yeah, we're doing great. And, you know, you've been with the organization not quite a year now. Right. What brought you to the United Way, and why was it appealing to you?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's been 9 months, so not quite a year. But the mission, and that's the bottom line. This great organization, as you pointed out, for 100 years now, has been able to be part of the fabric of the community. Changed its mission to become a singular focus bearing down on eradicating local poverty. And so my life's work, if I can claim that title or term rather, has been about anti-poverty programs. I've done a lot of work in Head Start around the country, the federal two-generation program for young children and their families in poverty, and so that's what drew me to the work.
I mean, it's a giant mission.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. Well, so we're going to add to that establishing world peace, right? We're going to colonize Jupiter. We're going to do all of these things.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
I like it. So share some of the milestones over the last 100 years, if you can.
Well, I'm happy to point out some. I mean, there are other people certainly who could who have actually been a part of it.
Sure.
That journey. But a couple things I would point to. Number one, United Way of Greater Greensboro, no matter what name it operated under, has always been about galvanizing the community and working through the nonprofits to provide support where there are areas of need. And so when you think about that, when World War II was amongst us, we were tapped to provide support, in that area. I think that's a pretty important thing. Also, United Way of Greater Greensboro is credited with starting the so-called Women's Tocqueville Society, and that is which later morphed into sort of took root all across the country. But that's a special a special designation given to, we like to use the term investors rather than donors, but who will donate at a certain level or higher, and that's usually around $10,000 a year or more. And so started that special affiliation. And then there are other things as well that we could point to, including breaking with some of the social norms and appointing, for example, the first woman to be president of the board back in the I think like the 20s or early 30s and that sort of thing. So those are some of the things that I would point to.
Yeah, I feel like we need to take a step back a little bit and kind of go off script. Sorry about that,
That's
but,
okay.
As I tend to do. But the United Way has just been such a presence for so long, of course, and people just know the name that I wonder if that some listeners don't even really understand the work that United Way does and really how it is impacting our community.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the opportunity to embellish that point a little bit. So what United Ways in general and the United Way of Greater Greensboro in particular has done is raised money to then share those resources with nonprofits in the area that are and were doing really good work around, income support or education support and health access and so on and so forth. And so that's always been kind of the mission of the work. It may have taken different shapes, but addressing issues of the time, food insecurity, again, education, housing, so on and so forth, that's always kind of been the work, and it's just kind of presented itself in different ways.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about the Family Success Center.
Yes, the Family Success Center. So that is one of the signature programs or projects that we fund. That good work began in the year 2015. And in a nutshell, if I had to describe it in a nutshell, it is essentially a one-stop shop that provides not just services, but also coordinated support for children and families that are living in poverty. And so, and what's neat about the Family Success Centers is that they were designed with community input. In fact, they were designed as a response to feedback that the community shared about some of the challenges of living in poverty. For example, part of that feedback was, well, if I'm living in poverty and there are supports and services that I need, I have to go here and then here and then here and then here across town.
We hear that so much.
Right. Yes, we do.
Right. And if you... And many people, not all, who are in poverty either don't have their own transportation, right? So that makes it tough, right, to access services. And then, so that's one aspect of it. But the other aspect of it is that it really is it's research driven and research based. And so there is a model, a theoretical framework that guides it, called the integrated service delivery approach. You could Google that and you'd find some things on it. But the bottom line is that that's about taking services with a coach and designing a plan, an individualized plan that each household can say, hey, this is the pathway or my journey to get out of poverty. And then you take all of those services and you bundle and sequence them in a particular way. And the cumulative effect of the health, the education, the financial support working together helps move that family out of poverty. Yeah.
So in 2014, the United Way shifted to focus on ending poverty. Why is that important?
Why is that? Well, let's ask the 60,000 residents in Greensboro why that would be important.
Yes.
I mean, really and truly, poverty has plagued so many aspects of people's lives. Again, we've talked about the lack of access to ongoing health or ongoing access to health care, limited education opportunities, food insecurity, housing, and on and on and on it goes. So it's important because, number one, it's solvable, number one, right? And number two, when we address poverty, the entire community benefits, right? Because now you have healthier people who are using their God-given talents and contributing their gifts to society. So when we address that, we really do enrich the entire community.
So what is next? 100 years in the books?
Wow, man.
Still going.
Yeah, 100 years. And so for the next 100 years.
Somebody said something about Jupiter. So.
Good memory. I love that. No, we're not colonizing Jupiter. Not the next 100 years anyway. But other people want to have ambitions to do that. But for the next 100 years, we really are doubling down on our mission to end poverty. We did set a goal, by the way. And I shouldn't say we. We, in partnership with the community, set a goal. Yeah. We have a target, 3,000 families that we really want, as a starting point, we want to transition out of poverty by the year 2030. Okay. What are we, 2022? So for the next 8 of the next 100 years, right, we will be running hard to pursue that. And the big thing that we'll be working on, you just asked me about Family Success Centers. We're going to scale that. Okay. We're creating what we call the Guilford Success Network that will allow us to, it will essentially be a virtual, remote, technology-based version of the brick and mortar Family Success Center.
Okay, yeah.
So that you can get it to even more people.
Exactly.
And that's the idea, to really grow the impact of that.
That's right.
So how can we get involved? How can we help? What can we do? Where do we go?
All right, so a couple of things. I mean, clearly, we have a website, unitedwaygso.org, and there are many opportunities that can be found there. I do want to just highlight just a couple, if I may. So number one, we have, in light of our 100-year anniversary, we will, for the entire year, we will have a lot of events coming up. So one of those will be in September. I want to point to that. We have some community concerts that'll be happening, featuring on September 30th, I think, KRS-One, the rapper, will be coming to do that. Also, Stephanie Land, who the author of The Maid, and it became a Netflix series as well, part of our speaker series in September as well.
Oh, that's cool.
And then also, we would love to have investment. So if you believe in our mission, please give us some resources. We would really appreciate that.
Yeah. And finally, I can't let you leave without you said, you feel like this is part of your life's work.
Yes.
So why? What is this that just that drives you every day? I mean, you see some hard things, and you come up against a lot of roadblocks too.
Absolutely.
What keeps you going?
Yeah. I appreciate the question. So I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. Poverty is an unnecessary situation for someone to have to be in. We have the resources, we have the capability, we have the research. We know that we can solve it. We just need the heart and the will to do so. I did not come from that experience, and I count myself blessed to not have that to not have been my journey. But that doesn't alleviate me of my obligation to address it. So I think that it's something that it's a social concern that I think we all need to be concerned about.
Heart.
Yeah.
Heart. That's what it all comes back to, right?
And your passion for it is inspiring.
Yeah.
Just
Thank you.
speaking with you, you know, you can
Thank
feel
you.
it. So
Thank you for that.
Once again, UnitedWayGSO.org is the place to go. That's a place to start. That's not where the work ends, but that's where you can learn more about ways to get involved, ways to give, ways to help. You know, time, talent, and treasure.
Yep.
It's all important.
that's right. Thank you for coming on the
Thanks
show.
for
We
having me.
appreciate your
Thank
time. Stay tuned in weekly by subscribing to Talk City Greensboro on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. And don't forget, you can download Talk City from SoundCloud.
That's it for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in to Talk City. Be sure to watch GTN, your official source for news and information about the city of Greensboro. GTN is available on Spectrum Channel 13
AT&T U-verse Channel 99.
and North State Channel 31.
GTN also streams live on Roku and the city's website
At greensboro-nc.gov.